What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Christian Witch Podcast. I'm your host, Chosen. Now, listen, a lot of you all have been saying, Chosen, you're not a toaster strudel, but you're hot and sweet. And to that, I say thank you. Can't even say with a straight face.
I thought you were going to say hot and ready, and I was like, that's Little Caesars.
That's the Little Caesars pizza. Oh, not a $5 hot and ready. Anyways, welcome back, guys. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Lux, as always. Well, most times. Sometimes she's MIA. But yeah, we're back. And we decided to do a fun little episode and talk about just like the wild, fun, cringy, just like experiencing life as a professional psychic medium, Christian witch, metaphysical occultist, magician, like just at living this life, our worldview, and the things we've encountered. Just like we have experiences that we look back on and laugh at, and like other people just wouldn't be able to relate. So we just thought some of them were funny and wanted to share with you. If this is your first time listening, my name is Chosen. I'm a certified professional psychic medium, professional Christian witch, and healer. I run a training academy where I teach people witchcraft, healing, psychic mediumship development internationally, called the Elysium Academy of Mystical Arts. I do readings, healings, and I also do one-on-one spiritual life coaching full-time. So you can find all of that information over at christianwitchhtx.com. You can also find me on all social media at christianwitchhtx. And I am your pastor of Christian Witch in the Craft over on Facebook. We are a private group for Christian witches of about 11,000 people. We have incredible resources and guides, lessons. So if you need a community, or if you're just curious, you don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to be a witch, but maybe you're one or the other, you're curious, we welcome you to come and take up the free resources. We have so much to offer you. So, yeah, that's enough about me. Lux, introduce yourself to the people. Let them know what's up.
Hey guys, it's Lux over at Intuitive Therapy by Lux. So you can find me at my website, Lux Intuitive Therapy, or on Facebook, Lux Intuitive Therapy as well, and Instagram. I'm also a professional psychic medium. I'm a magician, an occultist, and an ordained metaphysical minister.
Yep, you sure are. Oh, I'm ordained too. I should say that more often. Yeah, I can marry, bury, counsel. Girl, you hit me up. I got you. Matter of fact, I'm officiating a wedding on Halloween.
Oh, that is so cool.
I know. I'm officiating the wedding of my first ever serious girlfriend.
That's the first anecdote.
That's like wild, right?
You know, like that goes with this.
I know.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both gay.
Okay.
Turns out.
Turns out.
Turns out we were so in love with each other, but also incredibly gay. And now I'm marrying her off on Halloween.
That is so cool.
That's so crazy, right?
I bet it's going to be a wonderful wedding.
I know.
I hope it cools down for y'all.
We were in junior high, but our love was so mature for like the whole 7 minutes we had.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Yeah. Like it was like angsty AF. Like I'm talking like dramatic, note passing in the hallway, like
wow,
killed me for years. No, okay. Anyways, moving on. So, that was so random of me to just share. All right, so what else? What comes to mind when we think about this? I know earlier the reason we thought about this topic to do was our experience at the Half Price Books with our lovely friend, who, by the way, if you ever found our podcast and are listening, we do not hate you. We're not making fun of anyone in this podcast. We just find some stuff funny. Some stuff's a little incorrect, and we hope people find the healing they need. But this one kills us, you guys. Like, we laugh all the time, and we're just like, man, what a ride living this life. Do you want to tell the story?
No, you tell it.
You want me to tell it?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to sound mean. All right, so Lux and I make a semi-regular, sometimes more than regular trip to the local half-price bookstore, and every now and then we meet people, and this lovely friend that we've met was standing next to us and looked like she could use some guidance or recommendations, and she looked like she was like debating over books, and I was like, I don't know. Sometimes I was just like, like I just feel led to ask people, and they look like that. I'm like, are you looking for something in particular? Like maybe I can help you find it. Like it's like when I see elderly women at the grocery store, they can't reach something on the top shelf.
You literally talk to everybody, and I have my head down, like in a book, like minding my own business.
That's so weird though, because like you and your husband both stare at me. You're like, I don't understand how he talks to people.
No, I will not talk to strangers like in public.
The cashier at the register, even. I remember that one time I went to Michael's, and you guys were like, he was like, how does he speak to everyone?
I have no idea.
Oh, anyways, okay, well.
Ever the helpful Mr. Chosen walks up like he freaking works there.
You're welcome. No, they look like it looked like she couldn't like see, and so I was like,
I wouldn't know. I was minding my own business.
Okay.
That's why I wanted you to tell the story.
Don't mind me being of service to the world. Jeez. Okay. Anyways, moving on. So she looks like she could use some help, and she's like, is there something I can help you like find? I don't know what I said, but it wasn't like that. That sounds like I was like working there. It was something different. It was like, ooh, what you looking for? Like we happened to just like glance at each other and like small talk, and she told me that she was just checking out a particular author, and I was like, oh, you like that one, huh? And she proceeded to say, oh yeah, thank God she's in heaven watching over all of us. Thank God she's dead and in heaven watching over us. As if she was like some savior of the universe.
That perked my ears because I thought they were talking about Jesus together.
Yeah, I know.
And then I realized she wasn't talking about Jesus. She was talking about like an author.
And it's so funny because last night one of my students asked me about this author. But this author, in reality, has had a nasty habit over the decades of her life before she passed away of professional psychic medium, tons of books, and I would say
very prolific author. Like her books are everywhere.
Yeah, and she had a nasty habit of like inserting herself into missing people cases or missing person cases when they would get media attention. And she would call the families directly and be like, like your son has been raped and murdered, and his spirit is tortured, and like you need to move on, and like not healing at all, right? And then turns out like the kid would be found like the next day, and like just the kid was never dead. Wow. And nothing ever happened like that to him.
Didn't you tell that person that?
Oh yeah. And I was like, I don't really love this person. I was like, I don't actually, I kind of lost my trust for some things. And her excuse was, well, everyone's wrong. And I'm like, not over and over, and not trying to capitalize on a tragedy. And
yeah, like, not like that.
Not like that, geez, right?
Like you're really wrong.
I know. I do missing persons cases. Yeah. And like when I do so, I say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm getting. It's not something I can be super specific about. I can't tell you they broke their left pinky toe turning, I don't know, like doing a backflip or something. Like it doesn't get that specific most of the time. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes it's very detailed, and in those cases, it's grace, I believe. But yeah, anyway, so it was
I definitely think that you should be able to pick up on if the person is dead or alive. Like, just in my opinion, I know I don't do missing cases. You know what I'm saying? But like, I feel like, I don't know. That was another thing we talked about. We had a friend.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
Yeah, but yeah, so I just feel like you should be able to
pick up on basic stuff, right?
Like if he's dead or alive.
So anyways, just based off of character and like basics, I was just like, I don't really trust that author, right? And so we move on from that, and I was trying to like, just continue our conversation, very gently. And then all of a sudden she starts telling me about her pendulum, which is this huge necklace with a huge crystal on her neck. And she goes, yeah, I can make a heart, or she goes, it makes a heart for me. And she proceeds to take it off. This poor sweet girl. Oh my God, I hope she learned. And she's holding it, and she's swinging it in her heart herself, and she thinks that she's under the impression that that's how you work a pendulum, and that it can just make whatever shape you want. She's like, yeah, I can do it in a circle, and I can make a heart. And I'm like, this isn't the art of like,
what does that mean?
Swinging, right?
Right.
I'm like, you're not swinging like something on a rope. Like that's not what a pendulum's for. Like it answers you itself, right? And
I thought it was a gag.
I thought she was messing with us so hard. I thought she was
messing with us. I was just yanking my chain.
I thought she was like messing with us so hard, or trying to like gauge and see how much we knew and see if we'd say something. And I was like, oh, okay. Like,
no, I think we just kept going, oh.
Yeah. I want to say Didn't she make another shape, or am I making that up in my head? I feel like she was like, yeah, I can do a star too, or something like that.
Yeah, no, she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so just like wild things like that, you guys.
So that's not how a pendulum works.
That's not how a pendulum works. Pendulums will answer you on their own. Yeah, it was just wild experience.
That was wild.
Yeah, we had another wild experience at down at a local island crystal store that we recommend everyone to. And they're throwing an event, and I approached them and was like, hey, like, are you guys looking for, any more vendors or readers for your event, anything like that? And the medium that was in store that day, the reader, was like, oh my God, your energy is just like, she was like, I just felt everything around me just like lift, and like, it's like a light shined on me. And like, she's saying all these things, and I'm just like, oh my God, what a like phenomenal, like flattering, incredible, like compliment. I couldn't even repeat the words she said, honestly. I can't remember them, because I was like, oh my God, like, wow. I was just in shock she said that to me. And I'm talking to this woman who claims to have been healed by angels, wrote books on it. And that sounds like I'm being hateful. I believe she got healed by angels, and I believe that she wrote those books. But if you're dealing with the angelic and you do what she did next, it makes me question your discernment a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So she asked, what I did, and if I had a card, and I pulled out one of my card, and it said Christian witch on it. Healer, light worker, psychic medium. And she goes, oh no, we don't deal with Christians or witches. We don't deal with the darkness. No darkness is allowed at our fair, at our metaphysical thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't deal with the darkness either.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, witchcraft, Christian, yeah, we don't do any of that, none of that. It's all darkness. And the reader standing there like, what? Like, I'm gonna check him out. She's like complimenting me.
Yeah.
And so I feel like someone who's claiming to work with angels should have a little bit of discernment, like, or at least, and maybe she did have the discernment, and she just didn't have the interpersonal skills to be like, well, my discernment tells me you're not dark. Like, let me engage in this further, right?
The discrimination with the witchcraft thing, okay, but like the Christian thing,
right?
Like what? That was weird to
me.
Like
the darkness is like the Christian part is dark. Anyways, it was just wild, you guys.
I was thinking about that the other day. I was actually recounting that, and I was sitting there and I was thinking like, we should have just like told them like, you know what? As a matter of fact, you know how many people I've freaking recommended to this store?
Oh, I know.
Like, you know how much business that
I've driven an hour to the store several times, brought people to the store.
Right. Yeah, me too. Same. Yeah. Like, I've introduced like pretty much every new person I meet that's even slightly into things like about this at all. Like, even if they just like freaking pretty rocks, like I'm always taking them that like, oh, let's go in here and check it out or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
Like they've gotten so much word of mouth, and I thought that was so crazy. And
I know, right?
We really should have been like, okay, so that'll be the last time that I recommend anything to anybody to your store, because I didn't know that you were discriminatory. Like, that's crazy.
Well, and then we talk about stuff like that, and it gets borderline like, oh, well, if they do something wrong, like we can't support them at all, right? Like, I personally wish them all the best. I hope that they are thriving and wonderful. Like, that doesn't bother me. I was just completely shocked.
I don't know. I think that a lot of my witchy friends, right, would be very interested to know that they don't approve of their lifestyle. And it's like, I will get my crystals from somebody else then.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not going to give you my business. Like, if you're going to be discriminatory against, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I get that.
Because I've recommended so many witches,
especially when there's a witch store around the corner,
No, exactly. And, like, is their selection as good? Like, no, but,
sometimes.
Like, sometimes it is,
Yeah, sometimes it is, which is another fun thing. There was a video that went wild on TikTok about some guy that's, like, in some religious awakening, like, having some ecstatic experience, and he like films himself going in there. It's like, look at all this witchcraft, this demonic statues and stuff. Goes in there and he targets the Virgin Mary statue of all things.
Yeah.
It was it's like, I bind you, witchcraft, and all this other stuff. Like, it was just like going nuts, right? First off, that guy is always on Grindr. Yeah. Which it's fine, because you can be gay and be a Christian, right? But his attitude, what he's claiming is right. You can't, right? Not only that, after that video, people who make like OnlyFans pages and stuff were like screenshotting him, like checking out on their like back end of things, like where they keep track. It's like, thanks for subscribing, and it's like all these like gay adult content creators.
Wow.
So it's like you're focusing on something else to deal with the shame you have about another area in your life.
Something going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which again, we as healers we can have compassion, but it's just like the wild things that you become aware of in this world, you know.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, I wish I was there that day. So I'm like, no, that's not how this works. Like, I'm actually trained in deliverance ministry and ordained and actually do this for a living. That's not how that works, and that is not at all the kingdom of God. It's not at all the Spirit of Jesus or the Spirit or the Holy Spirit, I mean. Or the heart of the Father. So just wild stuff, you know?
Wild.
What's really cool though is when I'm in there and people ask for things, the owner's wife will come up to me. She'll be like, do you do like X, Y, and Z services? And I'll be like, yeah, why? She goes, well, we have someone asking, but I don't want them to know you're here so they don't disturb you. But I was just going to give them your card, and I wasn't sure if you did that. And like that kind of stuff has happened to me before. And it's like really cool that they know me as a medium and like they respect my privacy. And like, because that's happened at the Magic Cauldron before and other places as well. So that's really interesting and very sweet when they do that.
Dude, stuff goes down at the Magic Cauldron. Like, I can't even imagine working there. Like, Brian, if he was here, like, he'd be able to tell the tales. He would know. He would have some wild anecdotes. Yeah.
I know. What else? You've had some, like, terrible, crappy things happen.
What was that one?
Which one?
You reminded me of before the podcast?
I have no idea.
Crap, I can't remember.
Like when people are just like, they find out what you do and it's just like wild?
No, I remember that one.
Oh, the one about the reading and at that place during the summer and they didn't pay you for like a year?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I did a reading for somebody and like before, we were both going to be in the same like place. It was like a public gathering, observance or something like that. And he had approached me like beforehand, like a week beforehand, and was like, hey, are you going to be at this event? And I was like, absolutely. And he's like, well, I want to get a reading, and how much do you charge? And I said, I charge like $30 for what he was asking for. And he was like, okay, great. So let's just meet up then and let's just do it then. I said, okay, perfect. So it was kind of like he pre-booked in a way. Like he didn't pay me, but like he gave me a heads up, like I'm going to be there and I'm going to want a reading, right? And so yeah, he showed up like the first day and was like, yeah, let's do the reading. Like, great, everything like that. So I gave him the reading, and then like me and this dude were like, I wouldn't say we're friends, but like we've known each other for a few years, you know what I mean? So it was a little bit more relaxed. And so then like just, you know, I did the normal reading, and then like friend to friend, you know what I mean? I was like, let's just look at let's look at your numerology, you know, let's just do a little number, you know? And so we did that, and then like, I wasn't going to charge him for that, you know what I mean? It was just, like, me messing around. But, like, essentially, I'd given him, like, 2 services at that point. Yeah. Like, he's getting 2 for the price of 1. Yeah. But, like, I wasn't going to, you know, I'm not holding that against him. Like, the only reason I'm mentioning that now is because, like, I gave so much. So, it's, like, it's not that he, like, didn't deem my services, like, inaccurate or like unworthy or just like, you know, whatever reason, right? Like he said that I was accurate, like scarily so. Anyway, what I'm saying is that he had a good reading, right? And then later in the day, like when I was giving that reading, there was actually like, again, it was a public event. So there's actually a lot of people around and that were like gathered around. And so they heard that whole reading go down. And so like spirit respects your privacy. And as soon as like night started to fall, like that whole day, it was like spirit kept tapping me on the shoulder. Like, I have a message for him that you weren't able to deliver because we were not in a private setting. And I need you to go like deliver it. And I kept trying to shake it and shake it and shake it. Like, kept telling spirit, like, I've already given him too much. Like, I don't want to give him any more of my time. We're going to be in a deficit. And spirit was just like not having it. He just kept tapping me like, you need to deliver this message. So, you know, at the end of the day, like it's dark, and I pull him aside and I said, can we go sit down away from everyone and chat? Well, that ended up being like an hour long, like life counseling, life coaching conversation. Again, like I'm not going to charge him for that. That was not the original plan. This is something that Spirit was wanting me to do because, like, Spirit needed to get some things off their chest with this person.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say that. And it was a very, like, wake the hell up, like, you know, there was a lot of, like, here's the warning, like, get your act together type of thing, and, like, get it together. And so... essentially, I didn't get paid. He did not pay me. This was a weekend-long event. Did not pay me after the reading. Didn't pay me after I did the little life counseling session at the end of the day. Didn't pay me the next day, or the next day we went home. I saw him around several times throughout the year, just crossing paths, and would ask about it and didn't get paid. Just continued, like, to dodge me, to not pay me, like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, finally, we were at, like, the same event last year, and, you know, he comes up to me, like, all friendly and buddy-buddy and everything like that, and at this time, I was like, you can either back away from me, or you can give me the money that you owe me. And because I'm not, like, I felt that I had given so much, and I'm not gonna play this game anymore, because he had been acting like, oh, we're best friends, like, everything's fine. It's like, no, dude, like, you owe me $30. Like, and, like, it was so crazy because we had talked about this before that even happened. He literally approached me and ordered a reading, and we discussed, like, payment.
Yeah.
So, like, there was no excuse. He absolutely knew, like, I did this for a living, like, here's my business card type thing, like, crazy, right? So anyway, then, like, it was just nuts because at the end of the day, like, I was still made out to be the bad guy, because then, like, when I set that firm boundary, like, we can talk after you give me the $30, but until then, I don't want to have any, I don't want to hear anything you have to say, and you can back away from me. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here if that sounds harsh, but I'm not going to I'm not going to give you my time and have a conversation with you like everything's okay when it's not. Yeah. Right? And so I made that very clear. I mean, he's had over a year to pay me $30. Like, let's go. And so then he was like, oh, well, I didn't know that was something that was weighing heavy on you like that. Like, oh, if that's a problem between us, like, I'll go get the money right now. Like, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, and then basically, like, making me out to be, like, the bad guy. Like, I'm the one that, like, has a problem with, like, all this stuff. And it's like
you're holding on to something.
Yeah, like, I'm holding on to something, or holding a grudge or something like that. It's like, no, sir, I do this for a living. I do this for a living. This is a serious thing for me. This is my livelihood. Yeah. Like, and yes, it's just $30, right? But it's like...
It's the principle.
It's the principle, and this is what I do for a living. And you are not allowed to not pay me for a service.
Correct.
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Especially when we had discussed it prior to... So that one's not very lighthearted or fun, but I did end up getting my money back, and I really wanted to, like, tell him all that and tell him off and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, I was just like, you know what, I'm not going to read this person anymore. Later on that weekend, though, he did try to, like, make some sort of, like, amends, I guess, again, and essentially, like, said something like, oh, by the way, like... and he said this publicly too, so I was actually happy that I don't know if I told you this. I was actually happy that he didn't, that I didn't, like, lay into him, right? Because, like, publicly in front of, like, I don't know, maybe, like, 200 people or something like that, he, like, spoke at this event and mentioned that he had, like, a really terrible year, and that he said, I actually got a reading from Holly here last year, and everything she said came true, and I had a really terrible year. And, like, all of this stuff came true. And he, like, made eye contact with me. And so it's just, again, it's not like I wasn't accurate. Yeah. Like, but anyway, I mean, I don't know. It could have been a million different things. Like, he could have just been forgetting to pay. Like, whatever. He could have just, I don't know, it could have been, like, ignorance rather than disrespect.
I understand that.
Yeah.
We had an ignorant encounter this last weekend.
Yeah. See, yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, but I did get my money, and I feel that I was vindicated when he like stood up in front of all those people and was like, "Yeah, she's accurate." Because then somebody else actually echoed the sentiment,
Yeah.
like in the audience, like, gotta what? Yep. And people laughed, like. So it actually, like, I'm not gonna say that it brought me business because I didn't really see an increase in business, but
Yeah.
he publicly let everyone know that like my predictions for him were correct. So
Yeah. That's so wild that you just brought that up because I had someone recently that person I went to pick up all of what Mike? Why
the
can't
clothes.
yes, thank you. I cannot think of the word. The clothes.
Oh,
So
what
I
did I
have
say? I'm psychic.
yeah, I know, it's like you read my mind. So I have a friend. By the way, I have a headache, you guys. So I just apologize if I'm just like rambling here. But I have a friend who enjoys fashion very much so and does styling work and stuff like that, and occasionally will like give me clothes. And when I went over there, they happened to mention that everything I gave them in a reading happened, like came true. And it's just, I just love validation. It's so much fun. Like, we don't seek it in the middle of a reading, but I do enjoy a good testimony. So,
Something.
what?
Another thing just came up.
Okay.
Okay, so things are starting to like pop in. The freaking phone call.
Which one?
The one I got after that market.
What happened on the phone call?
Okay, I'll just tell you.
What market?
The
This weekend?
No, the market that
Oh,
I work.
oh, yes!
Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that till just now.
Okay, guys,
I'm
this
gonna
is like
spill the tea, those hateful hags.
this is like a horror story. Like, I don't know, right? Okay, so I still to this day.
Oh my god.
This is a good
That
one.
reminded me of the phone call that I got. Remember, I get it like once a
yeah,
year.
yeah. You're gonna tell that one next.
So far.
Weird phone calls is like a whole extra
Yeah, it's
segment.
a whole
on
extra
here.
segment.
Okay.
By the way, again, no one's griping, no one's being mean about these people. We're just sharing like the wild, fun, cringe, weird, random things that happen in our lives doing this.
Yeah, like no hate or like
Yeah,
anything.
absolutely. We're just spilling the tea on like the random things.
On ourselves, I
Yeah,
guess.
on ourselves, but like from, I guess, like just sharing stories about
Yeah.
our life. Yeah, people keep saying and like,
It's like
they'll message
campfire
me.
stories.
Yeah, and they'll be like, we really enjoy when you guys talk about like, day-to-day stuff from your worldview. So that's kind of what we're doing. So
Yeah.
this is just like the tea. Tell them about the phone call.
Okay,
Those hateful
so
people.
I typically don't work markets in the sense of like that I read them. I've only worked one market, and it was the one by me. I typically, when y'all see me, like if y'all do, I'm helping Chosen out at his markets, right? So anyway, I decided like, okay, I've got the courage, like I can do what he does. I like I finally worked up the nerve to do my first market ever. And God, it was hot. It was so hot.
It was the hottest day of the year.
I know.
111 degrees.
Oh gosh, yeah. I didn't know. I thought I
But
was
it
gonna
felt
be.
worse because of the humidity.
I know. I thought I was gonna be carried out of there, like, and wake up in a hospital. I'm serious.
Honestly, when you told me you went to the portable restroom,
Yeah.
what do you call them, porta potties or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I almost passed out.
You said you almost passed out. I was like, oh, it must be because she's tiny and like it's hot outside, and I was thinking like, oh, poor thing, right? Like, I'm a big strong man. I'm gonna get up and go to the bathroom, right? I walk in there and I swear I can't even finish
You, like,
urinating
swayed.
before I'm like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna pass out. And I literally was like, I was struggling to get out. I was like panicking.
Yeah.
And like going from inside the portable restroom to outside where the little hand washing thing was, the scalding hot water and the hand washing
I know.
thing.
Scalding hot.
Because of the heat. I literally
It
like
burned
it
my
felt like I
hands.
left like an oven going into the 111 degree
Yeah.
heat from whatever was going on inside that restroom. It was wild.
It had to be at least
It was
150 degrees
hard to breathe, man. Like
Yeah, it
hard
was.
to breathe. Like to the
Yeah.
point where I was like, I should have just peed myself. Like
I know.
or like went behind a bush. But
Yeah, the talking about like the heat, I just no, it's wild, and you don't mess with the heat like that. Like, it was crazy. Vendors were packing up early and stuff, and
Yeah.
like, I think that it would have been way more crowded and busy.
the organizer even said like we almost canceled it.
We almost canceled it because it was
Yeah.
just people were like just dropping out and stuff. So anyway, that was my first market, and I made it through. Didn't have to go to the hospital. Like, everything was fine. We had some I had some good business towards the beginning of the day because the heat hadn't arrived as bad yet.
Yeah.
And I had some people that, again, I'm like acquaintances with. I saw them like show up and I waved them down, and I was like, if y'all want to get out of the like blazing middle of the parking lot, like I don't have anyone right now, feel free to come stand underneath my tent and everything. And I was like, oh, they were like, oh, okay, maybe, and I was like, okay. Never saw them again, which I thought kind of weird, I was like, okay, well, if I knew somebody at a market, I would definitely go like say hey to them, but like whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, do the market, everything's cool, except for the heat. We end up packing out of there like an hour early and getting home, and I get home, I eat, I shower, I like chug water, and I'm like regaining consciousness. Like my body is finally like regulating against like being in the AC, and my heart's like leveling out and stuff. Like it was bad. I think I was very close to having some sort of
I think I was starting to have heat exhaustion too.
Yeah.
I'll go into that later, but I remember we were texting like we had heat rash, like our skin was itching from being so hot.
Yeah, so at one point when we were out there, I got cold.
Oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, keep going. Tell them about that.
Anyway, so I'm sitting on the couch, I'm eating something, or a sandwich or something like that, and I get a phone call. And I have been waiting on a call from,
I just laughed. So I remember at the market, you were like, I was like timing your readings because you have a habit of going over. I do too, but like not 20 minutes worth, And I'll be like, time clock! And just scream it, like, and like try to look normal. That way maybe you'll hear it or something, and then be like, oh, time to wrap up.
No, I didn't hear that at all.
I tried so hard. I would like psychically like just project it.
I know, I set my timer, but I just ignored it.
I do it all the time. It's fine. Anyway, so after the market, you get a phone call.
So I'm sitting on the couch, I get a phone call, and I had been expecting a phone call from like someone else very important, and so I was essentially, and I didn't know like what, like they had called me off of a number that said spam risk before, and so essentially I was, and they weren't spam risk, right? They were the important phone call, like whatever. So this phone call came in as no caller ID, and I'm answering every phone call at this point because I don't know if it's going to be them, right? And so I answered the phone, and I was like, hello. And they were just like, is this Miss Lux?
It's so
and
weird.
I couldn't even understand what they said at first. And I said, I'm sorry. And they said, is this Miss Lux? And I was like, oh, yes, this is she. How can I help you? And then they said, honey, I just wanted to tell you that everything, you gave me a reading the other day, and everything you said came true. And I'm sitting here racking my brain, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, who did you say this was? And they gave me a name, and I'm telling you, I could not
place it.
I couldn't make it out. I literally could not understand what they said. So I'm trying to like recall the voice. I'm trying to recall anything that sounds familiar to that name. I'm trying to like recall everyone that I've read, everyone today that I read at the festival, everybody that I read like in the past however long ago, right? And like I cannot place for the life of me like this person, and I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm really glad to hear that, and thank you for calling and giving validation. And they said, yeah, we just wanted to tell you that I was able to do what you said with my sister, and me and her, we went to meet my mother, and we powdered her or something like that. She said like we gassed her, we powdered her, we dusted her. That's what it was.
Dusted her. That means like kill.
Yeah. They said we dusted her and we were able to get her hair.
That's so weird.
And I said, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? And they just said, we dusted her and we got her hair. And I was like, I'm sorry? And then it was just like nothing on the other end.
Oh.
And I was like, hello? Can you repeat that? Like, can you repeat that? Like, I'm sorry, like, what?
Yeah.
And like, I was real professional, and then I just didn't hear anything on the other end. And like, they never came back on. It was just silence. And it was silence on the other, maybe for 15, 20 seconds or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just hung up the phone.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I'm sitting here like,
what in God's name?
Who the hell would do that?
Yeah.
Like, and so I called Chosen and I was like, listen, have you ever got a prank phone call? Like, you've done all these markets for like the longest time. You've done all of these readings for like so long. This is my first market ever. And I get a freaking prank phone call?
Well, I don't even think you thought it was a prank phone call at that point. You thought it was like
I
weird,
didn't.
I
thought it was
scared.
real. I was scared. Well, I didn't want to say that, but like, yeah,
sorry.
I mean, I was definitely like shaken up.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this podcast, you got me. But yeah,
also,
like
you will get yours. Trust me.
like I did.
That's a
I was
promise.
scared, so like I immediately called my husband and I like locked the doors and like shut the blinds and like cut the lights and like I had DoorDash coming. That's what it was. I wasn't eating. I was waiting on my food. I had DoorDash. Another reason I answered the phone.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Thinking maybe it was DoorDash, right? And anyway, yeah. So I called Wes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, they know my name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they know Chosen and Lux are our spiritual names.
Okay, cool. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't
Okay.
know.
Well, if this is your first time joining, just so you
Hi.
know, yeah, Chosen is the name I was given over a decade ago at this point. And you can find that story on my YouTube channel. And Lux also got her name a year, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those are our spiritual names, and we go by those because we speak identity over ourselves when we use those. And yeah, so also I have like a music brand and like I can't use the same name for everything. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, especially on social media. Can't verify different things. But anyways, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so I called you and you were like, dude, it was probably a prank phone call, like it's okay and everything's fine, and like I'm like, oh shit, I hope it was a prank call, you know. So anyway.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it was those mean little hussies.
Yeah, so it could have been, I honestly don't know. It could have been just like some kid walking past, but like here's my thing, right? So this is why I'm suspicious, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
If you've ever seen me at maybe that market, or just if you've ever seen my business card, like my business is, y'all know, it's Intuitive Therapy by Lux, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So like if you go to my website, like yeah, it does say that I'm a psychic medium, and I say that I'm a psychic medium and stuff like that, but like if you're at a market,
yeah.
okay, there's not a huge sign on my tent that says like psychic medium, right?
Yeah.
I don't advertise like that. I don't have like little signs that say tarot, psychic, like things like that. Like everything matches, and it's all Intuitive Therapy by Lux. Like it's all my like logo and my name. Of course, like on my like services sign, it says tarot,
That's it,
but
though.
like it doesn't have like, you know,
it doesn't say witch, it doesn't say psychic, it doesn't say medium.
Yeah, right. And so it's like the people that essentially, like if you were just passing through and you wanted to like prank call a psychic, like you would go to Chosen's tent because it says psychic medium, like, in, you know, on his sign. You would go to any of the other like people who advertise like psychic medium. You see what I'm saying? Why would you come to my tent that says Intuitive Therapy? Like nobody knows what that is. You'd have to like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have. Well, it's true. You
I know
have
you're
to
like
figure
making
that
the
out.
case against.
No, but what I'm saying is I do think that it was somebody who knows me and knows what I do. I don't think it was a random person.
Well, and not only that, you had like 3 people verify intuitively. Remember, it was like immediately. You didn't tell me who you thought it was. I told you.
Yeah,
who I thought
I know.
It was.
And then I was like, yeah, I felt like that too.
And then I began telling my mom the story, who's also very intuitive and empathic and mediumistic, all that fun stuff. Anyways, and before I could even get to what I thought, she was like, "Oh, it's some mean bitch she knows from whatever." Yeah.
And then I told my friend that too.
Why are we dropping the B word?
I know. I told my friend that too, and she was like, "Oh, it was definitely them."
Yeah.
Like definitely.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, hope you're enjoying those repercussions. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, I thought that was just so, that was so mean, and I'm like,
it was
God,
so mean.
I
Like,
swear.
why would you do that? I had someone be mean to me too. Remember that person on that dating app? Like, by the way, I'm single and ready to mingle. No, I'm just kidding. No, but like, you know, I live a busy life. Like, I can't just like meet people on the go. And like the people I do meet are often like in need of major healing.
Oh yeah, when he told you that was like, what did he say?
He was like, you need to get help immediately if you believe in a god or the spirit world at all. He was
didn't he say you should be locked up or something?
Oh my god!
That you should go to the asylum or something. Psych ward,
immediately. Psych ward, yeah. And my god, like the person had a master's in philosophy.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm like, it's all philosophy.
Yeah,
what? And he was like, I was like, I'm surprised you don't, like, because he like before he like responded that way, I was like, well, I figured you would like that kind of stuff because you're into philosophy.
Right.
And they're like, oh no, philosophy, whole point is to disprove the existence of the supernatural in religion. And I was like, that's incorrect and
literally not
harmful.
true.
And you're ignorant, but like, go off, queen. Anyways.
Maybe that's your philosophy.
That's your philosophy, literally. Anyway, so I've had that experience. Dating in itself, like,
Oh, yeah.
you're lucky, okay? Like,
I
not
know.
everyone- not
I
everyone's
got
blessed.
mine and dipped out.
Yeah, you literally found somebody. It's hard dating as a psychic medium, especially if you're doing the healing work and okay, so it's hard dating. Okay, so let's just on a basic, relatable level, telling people what you do is so funny. It's like revealing that you're like a superhero.
I know, it's weird.
Like I'm Batman, or like even like on Charmed, like them having to like tell their loved ones like I'm a witch, like I have powers, like this is why I like have to run off and do this kind of stuff. Like every time I'm dating, I laugh because I look back at those shows and those movies and those comics. And I'm like, oh my god, like what is my life? And like I find really cool people who are really are totally interested and things just don't work out. But as a gay Christian witch, my pool is limited as it is. Actually, you know what? I neutralize that. There's plenty of options for me. But finding someone who is like doing similar healing work and working on themselves and are like self-aware and like it's not just like every person you meet is like that. And when they are, then it's like, okay, do we mesh? Do we connect on some level,
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't. And like everything else can be wonderful. And like I've had to learn that lesson too. It's just like, oh, like this just doesn't work because we don't have that spark. There's no connection there. It's weird. So dating's weird as a
I've got something related to that.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. So, I was just getting into tarot and psychic mediumship and stuff like that when I met my husband. And so like
that's beautiful.
I know, I was like just getting into it, right? And so like I was super excited about it, and anyone who knows me knows that like even though I just got into it, I pretty much got a lock on it. Like I don't know everything, but like the stuff that I do know is like
but that's
going
because
there.
You educate yourself,
Yes.
and you educate yourself thoroughly
Yes.
in a haste manner.
Like even though I've just started something, like
I'm not doing it unless I understand it.
Yeah, and I hate to use this word, but I do hyperfixate often.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have just found something like a new interest, like you bet your ass, like that's the only thing I'm talking about, learning about, reading about, thinking about, like doing, writing about, like all day, all night, like until I have a solid.
Up in our friendship,
Yeah.
because certain words or keywords will come up over and over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. Like
she's hyperfixating.
I'm like, oh, okay. Like that's really impacting her in this season.
No, yeah. So you have to just
not in a bad way. It doesn't bother me.
No, that's just the way that I am. And like my mom calls it like one-track mindedness.
Interesting.
But like I learned that the clinical term is like hyperfixating.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that just from my observations I would call it hyperfixating like that. Because you're able to like entertain several other important things.
Yeah, I'm able to. It's not debilitating at all, but there's still like that's why I hate to use the term, but it's still definitely there, but it's like I'm able to function with it, I guess.
I totally just distracted your story. Keep going. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Anyway,
Okay.
So started the tarot and everything,
Oh,
getting
yeah, I
into
was
stuff
just
when you
started
met your
tarot,
husband.
and I've understand the deck pretty well and everything, and I wasn't giving paid readings by any means, like absolutely not.
Well, the second I could read, I was like, give me your money.
Really?
I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Oh, no.
No, I just spent 10 years in ministry, like not doing that.
I was like, I was like, if anyone was interested, they were like, you think you could pull a card for me? I'm like, yeah, sure, cool. And then I'd be like, well, this is what I think it means. What do you think it means? Oh, okay. And here's what the book says. What do you think about that? Oh, I see how that could really, I see how that, and it's like putting stuff together, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, my husband was like, you do these tarot cards? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, I can't believe he's
walking up right now.
Yeah, I can't believe he's home. He's got something to do tonight. I guess he's gonna come home and go. But he was like, you do these.
Let's let him walk in that way.
Okay.
We're gonna pause. We'll be right back. We're gonna take a bathroom break. BRB. Okay, we're back. So you're dating, he's like, oh, you do these tarot card readings.
Yeah, and I had given him a reading, right? And it was accurate. So he was like, okay, like my mom, she kind of believes in this kind of stuff and things like that. So I was like, okay, because we had like the open-mindedness conversation, right? Like, oh, okay, like this is probably going to be a big part of my life. Like I should probably ask if this like is going to be a problem. And so he was like, a skeptic for sure. So anyway, we're moving out. We had been dating for a couple of months now, and I used to have these geckos, like these reptiles that I would feed these. They're like roaches, and they were all in like a tank and stuff like that. And I'm sorry if you guys hate me after this because of
sacrificing roaches to a dragon.
Yeah, okay, so they weren't actually my roaches. They were my ex-boyfriend's roaches at the time, and I had like just kept them because I didn't know what to do with them because there was a whole like roach colony.
What?
Yeah.
What?
There was like a lot of them in there.
I've never heard this story. How insane.
And like there was a lot in there and stuff, and like I had like stopped feeding them, and I don't know how they were living. I guess they were living off each other at this point. I'm not really sure.
Oh my god.
But I like didn't know what to do because like I didn't want to just like throw them outside because they're not like native to this area. So
the kitty's meowing. What's going on?
He's frisky.
Oh, he's being frisky.
Yeah. So I didn't want to just like put them outside, right? Because what if they're invasive? Like what if all this stuff? So you're not supposed to just like dump stuff, right?
Yeah,
so,
especially colonies of roaches.
Yeah, especially like colonies of roaches. So I didn't want to do that, but I like didn't know what to do. And so I didn't want to like exterminate them.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like gathered them all and put them inside this cheese ball, like, you know how cheese balls come in like a really big like plastic container?
Yeah.
Like a cylindrical like container.
Sure do.
So yeah, I put them in there and I taped the lid shut with like duct tape.
Just like waited for them to die.
Well, I was moving out, and so then Jonathan was like, it's my husband, he was like, so what's gonna happen to the roaches? And I was like, oh, they're going to die. They're going to suffocate and die. And he was like, yeah, but how do you know? And I looked at him and I was like, I know. He was like, I don't think you do. Maybe you should ask the tarot.
No.
And so I was like, okay. And I whipped out the cards and I started shuffling and
the death card?
Yeah.
Stop. No.
Yes, it
did. Oh my god,
yes,
that's so
the
wild.
Death card comes I'm not BSing, y'all. The death card comes flying out and he was floored. He was flabbergasted. I'm talking about his jaw hit the freaking ground. And he was like, the look on his face was like a cross between like shock and horror. Because I'm
like trying to mimic it in my head.
Yeah. But like he was so shocked. And anyway, from that point forward, he was a believer.
Oh my god. So just to clarify, we do not have colonies of roaches anymore. Also, what a wild scenario.
Yeah.
Like, who just had, like, he had a roach problem and he just started collecting them?
No, they were like feeder roaches that
you
would
bought them on purpose.
Well, he did, yes, to feed to the reptiles.
Oh, that makes more sense.
I would feed like crickets from the store, but like he was like, no, these roaches are a good investment. They self-populate. They're like whatever.
That's so weird. Okay. Well, I don't like the food chain.
Yeah, well, like you feed them your compost.
Yeah.
Like if you have like clippings from like dinner, like potato, but like whatever, like your compost, what you would normally like compost in the kitchen, like banana peels and things, they'll eat that. So you like throw the trash in there. Like they'll even eat coffee grounds. Like you just
wild.
Yeah, they're like composters, and then they set up their little colony and they reproduce and they like have their.
That makes more sense.
You get the like adult ones out and you feed them to your lizards.
I could just feel all the backwoods witches going wild and relating to you right now.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're all dead because I didn't know what to do. Like, so I just.
That's wild.
Anyway.
Okay, so that's funny. Yeah, random wild stuff. What else happened? I had a student from a private Christian school send me a video of their professor in class with my profiles up on screen in front of everybody talking about how I'm channeling demons and that my power comes from demons and that I'm deceived and all this other stuff. I I don't even know what I was like, wow, I really made it. Like I was like, I'm really established now.
I'm getting like legitimate institutional hate.
They
like,
literally teach on me at
yeah.
private institutions. Like, wow. Oh my goodness. Just like the insanity. Oh my goodness. Yeah, just like wild stuff. And I asked the kid, I was like, what school is that? And they sent me the school. I almost wanted to call, like in my mind, like this brief scenario played out. I was like, let me call and just pretend like I'm psychic, like so psychic that, well, I am psychic, but let me portray
Like
that I'm
you're
so
so
psychic
powerful,
and
like
powerful that, or like freak them out, even if they thought it was demons, just be like, I know you're talking about me, you better stop. Like, but obviously, like I wouldn't do that. But it would have been fun.
that would have been fun.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I do get what's been happening lately. Oh, I know what I was gonna tell you. So, what's been happening lately over the last like year and a half or so is like I get recognized in public, and that is always wild to me.
Yeah.
And also really cool. So like there are bright sides to living this life, you know? Like
Yeah.
there's like good stuff that happens. Like it's not just all humorous or cringy or like, oh my gosh, no one could relate to this if like a quote unquote mundane normal life.
Oh, I can share a good thing.
But yeah, I get like recognized a lot, like grocery stores a lot, market people come up and introduce themselves. A lot of listeners, thank you guys for coming up and saying hi. But that's really cool to know that like, oh, like, you know, this wisdom is reaching somebody, you know. And then there was another oh, you know what? Say what you're gonna say.
Oh, I was gonna say that, do you remember that girl who like wanted to learn tarot? She was like a friend, kind of like
She
a
came
friend.
and sat
Yeah,
here
she
and-
came and we kind of like gave her like the rundown
Like
one
baked
night
and
for a
stuff?
few hours. What?
She like baked.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
a baker. Yeah. Anyway, typically I charge for my tarot instructional courses, but I was just like, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just like tell her. And so I don't know, like when I was giving her that information, I was like, like that's probably not gonna go anywhere, like whatever. I actually saw, you remember how long ago was that?
That was like last year.
Okay. So it'd been like a year, right? And so I saw her just the other day and she like looked at me very intensely and she was like, I need to thank you.
Oh.
You have changed my life.
Oh my god.
Yeah. She was like, the tarot, real. God, real. I've never had this type of relationship with a higher power in my life.
Oh my, doesn't
Yeah.
it make everything so worthwhile?
Yeah, and so I just was like, wow, it really did pay off to like sit with her those few hours. I mean, like, and I just remember thinking like in the moment, like, like
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal, like whatever. No, she.
She wasn't even here that long.
No, I know she was only here for a few hours, so she took it and ran with it.
Oh
and
my
I
goodness.
was so happy about that.
What a
right?
testimony.
I know.
Bravo.
So she talks to God through the tarot and stuff, and that's how I started out too, before I started like reading anyone or doing any type really of divination. Like the whole reason that I picked up tarot in the first place, because I wanted to be able to talk to God better. Yeah. And get messages from God. So now she's like doing that, and I just remember when that was my only relationship with tarot. I didn't know anything else about it other than like, this is my connection. Like literally like a cell phone to the divine.
Yeah.
And how like I cherished that ability to do that. And like I
Yeah.
remember just being in her spot and looking back and being like, I wasn't able to do this before, and somebody gave me this gift. Somebody
Yeah.
showed me that like you can connect with the divine, you can get information from the divine, you're not alone. And like you don't have to freaking guess at your entire life. Like if you need answers, you can get them.
Yeah.
And like not just like it maybe sound a little bit trivial for you though, because like you've just for so long been able to just have that like open communication with God, you know, without any tools, right? Which is obviously the goal. But like for people who didn't grow up in the church or come from any type of psychic understanding or like anything, you just feel like you're like flying blind.
Yeah, I
and
know.
being given that like gift, like she was just really grateful, and I was like, dude, that's all you know. But yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. So that's a good thing.
Wonderful. Yeah, it really is. And that's why we continue to like do this work,
Yeah.
right? You know, like that's a great way to like, you know, kind of come to like a head on this episode is like, this is why we do this stuff. This is why we have these experiences and why we're kind in the moment, why this stuff goes on, and why we don't react certain ways. And we do the healing work is because you never know, like, who's listening and who's actually, like, being impacted. You know, like, it means the world to me when somebody says, like, oh, like that, like, you changed my life, or you showed me I can actually have a relationship with God. Like, you've given me so much. There's this one, there's one person that that I mentor, and I mentor lots of people, but one person is very adamant about thanking me for the time that I give them, and is always like, like, you owe me nothing. And I don't even think about stuff like that.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just, it just shows that, like, people, like, even though some people will call you the darkness, will misidentify you, prank call you, tell you to seek help immediately. There are people who are really, their lives are changing. And that's exactly what it's all about. So, I'm sure we have tons of stories we could think of.
Yeah.
But that's a good way to wrap this episode up.
That's cool that we got, like, a lesson
out of this. I know. It's like it's the lesson of the day.
Yeah, because when we went into it, I think we were just wanting to, like,
spill the tea,
sit up here and talk.
Yeah.
Like, so Spirit's always guiding us to something. I think more like under the surface that's there and deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
That people need to hear.
100%. So, all right, you guys. Well, we adore you all so much. You know what? Actually, somebody asked a question.
Oh, really?
And I cannot remember what it is. Let me look. I screenshot it, and we'll answer that question. So 1 second. Okay, you guys, we lied. I can't find the question. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Love you so much. If you need anything or want to book a reading, a service, a spiritual life coaching session, a paranormal consultation, a marriage, a burial, anything, feel free to hit us up, christianwitchhtx.com. Definitely go check out the private group on Facebook, our home for Christian witches internationally, Christian Witch in the Craft. And yeah, and if you want to book with Lux, plug your info.
Y'all go check out my website, luxintuitivetherapy.com. Again, I have a full list of services on there and stuff for as low as $5. So please don't assume that I'm too busy for you or out of your price range.
Oh, same. Yeah, I have varying prices, and never let money be a factor in stopping something if you're in need. I'm a psychic medium. I'll know if you're BSing me. So, like, by all means, like, don't, if you need something, feel free to reach out, So, and we love receiving messages and DMs from you. So don't ever hesitate to connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff. So we will see you next time. You'll have a wonderful weekend. And I think, this is going up, before Halloween. So happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Blessed
Bye,
Salad.
guys.
Bye.